Welcome to day 5 and the last day of this half term. So this is our last English lesson for this half term. Next week you will have a week off. Hopefully the weather will be beautiful and that you can enjoy lots of sunshine. So let's do one more day of really hard work and see if we can get started on writing our non-chronological report today. So today you are going to need an exercise book or line paper, a pen, a pencil, a ruler, chapter 5 of A Bridge on Fire, the multiple choice for chapter 5, and lots of enthusiasm. So pause the video here while you go and get those few things. Welcome to Fantastic Friday. So today we are reading through the next chapter of our book and answering the longer comprehension questions. And in writing, we're going to be looking at how we can create an effective introduction. But first of all, as always, I want to share a quote with you. And Winston Churchill has provided us a whole week worth of quotes. He was an amazing Prime Minister during the build-up or during World War II, made lots of decisions that helped lead us to victory. And one of these quotes I really like actually is one always measures friendships by how they show up in bad weather. So basically meaning that when things are really tough and when things are going a bit wrong, if your friends are there to support you and to stand by you and help you, that shows how true a friend they really are. So when things are all good and everyone's messing around and having fun and your friends are there, that's great. But when you actually really need them and they are there to support you, that tells you what a real friend is. Okay, and I really like that quote because I think it's very true. Okay, getting back to our reading. So today is Friday the 22nd of May 2020 and the learning intention is to show understanding of the text. So please can you write the LI and the date and then go ahead and do the reading of The Bridge on Fire and the multiple choice to do as well. And then we are going to go through the open-ended questions. So I'll see you in a sec. Okay, open-ended questions. So these questions today are slightly different from what we're used to because number 4 is actually asking you to give your own personal experience on things. Okay, so I'm just going to read through the questions for you and then we are going to go through the answers on the next slide, but you need to complete this work on your own first. Number 1, what did Kat do after putting on her rucksack? Number 2, why do you think that Kat turned her torch off as she approached the bridge? Number 3, Britain wasn't attacked immediately, but you could feel it in the air, the corrosive smell of dread and fear. Why do you think that the author chose to use the word corrosive in the sentence above? 4, from 9 p.m. she checked her watch every couple of seconds, both willing time forward so she could get on with the job, and also wanting it to freeze so she didn't have to go through with it. Describe a situation you have been in where you have wanted time to pass by quickly, but also wanted time to stand still. And number 5, the two men hugged each other as if they were long-lost brothers, and then, with their laughter ringing out in the night air, they entered the hut together. What does the phrase ringing out tell you about the sound of the laughter in comparison with the sound of the night air? Okay, so those are your questions. Number 4 and number 5, like I said, are your opinions and based on what you think. Number 3, you might need to look up the word corrosive in the dictionary just to give you some clues. Okay. Pause the video here, answer in full sentences please, and make sure you're submitting your work to me so that I can see how you're getting on. Okay, let's go through the answers. So number 1, what did Kat do after putting on her rucksack? So she studied the compass and then she continued walking, nice and straightforward. Why do you think that Kat turned her torch off as she approached the bridge? Obviously because she didn't want to be seen. Okay, she didn't want the enemy to see that she was there. Number 3, Britain wasn't attacked immediately, but you could feel it in the air, the corrosive smell of dread and fear. Why do you think that the author chose to use the word corrosive in the sentence? So corrosive means that something is damaging something else. Sometimes you can have a chemical that's quite corrosive. That means it ruins the surface that it's touching. So in the same way, the author wanted to use this word corrosive to suggest that war was imminent, full of danger, and it might corrode the freedom of these countries. Okay. Number 4, from 9 p.m. she checked her watch every couple of seconds, both willing time forward so she could get on with the job and also wanting it to freeze so she didn't have to go through with it. Describe a situation you've been in where you've wanted time to pass by quickly but also wanted time to stand still. Now, I've purposely not written an answer for this question because this is your choice, okay? You need to write about a time in your life when you felt that you wanted time to go quickly but then slowly at the same time. So if I give you an example of when I was younger, I used to really look forward to Christmas Day. I still do, but I was really looking forward to Christmas Day. And I used to want the whole of December to zoom by so that I could have Christmas Day, but then I wanted Christmas Day to go really, really, really slowly so that I could enjoy playing with all my toys. So you could use something like that as an example, maybe looking forward to your birthday or something. Okay, number 5. The two men hugged each other as they were long-lost brothers, and then with their laughter ringing out in the night air, they entered the hut together. What does the phrase ringing out tell you about the sound of the laughter in comparison with the sound of the night air? So it is showing you the contrast between the silence in the night air and the laughter of the soldiers, and that it was actually a lot louder than probably laughter would normally be because it was so silent. It was ringing out across the sky or across the village, so it could actually be heard. Okay, can you tick, cross, correct, however you need to do, and please can you send them to me at the year 6 email address, year6@grange.harrow.sch.uk. So pause here before moving on. Okay, so now we are going to be looking at how to write the beginning of a non-chronological report. So please can you write the date and the LI in your books? Pause here while you do that. Make sure you're underlining with a ruler. Okay, so today we're going to start writing our introduction. Remember, the introduction is only a brief paragraph which gives the reader an overall picture of the topic. For our introduction, I think it's important for us to provide a background to how life was after World War I. Let's go through an example of an introduction of a chronological report to help us. So we're going to look at this example, which is the introduction to the shark fact file that we looked at in our previous lesson. And what I would like us to think about is that this introduction gives us a general information about sharks and how sharks are differentiated from other fish. It also gives us a brief history of sharks and gives the reader an indication of what the report is going to be about. Okay, so it gives you a general overview of sharks and some key facts that you might not necessarily go over again in the report. Okay, so you can look at this, kind of get some ideas, get some idea about the structure as well before moving on. Remember, it's quite simply written, so it needs to be easy for the reader to understand and it needs to engage them. So you want the reader to read the introduction and say, yep, I want to read on about this because this is going to be a really good report. Okay, so this is my attempt at writing an introduction. Now I know that you can do much, much better than me. So let's have a read. I had to do a little bit of research myself, just to kind of just check that I had my facts right about the effect and the impact of World War I on Britain. I think for an introduction for this topic, we do need to go into a bit of detail about how World War I finished and how it left the countries, because it kind of does link into the beginnings of World War II. There was a lot of animosity between countries already because of World War I. Okay, so it's really important that we have to bring World War I in as our context to set the tone for the rest of the report. So after World War I ended, Germany was made to pay the Allies £13.4 million in reparations. Reparations means money that had to be paid as compensation for all of what had happened in the war. This meant that the country went into a deep recession. In the UK, although suffering the loss of many men, women and children, there was an increase in countries controlled by the British. This also meant that many people were given opportunity to learn new skills and trades. This punishment of the Germans meant there was a lot of resentment, and that meant that leaders like Hitler could come into power. Hitler was a dictator and wanted the people of the world to live by his ideals. World War II was a war in which millions of innocent people lost their lives due to the cruelty of one person. It was a war that changed the map of Europe and showed how dangerous some people could be if they were given power. So as you can see, I've written a very general, brief summary of what the war was. If someone asked you what was World War II, this is what you need to write in your introduction. Okay, just a very quick overview of what the war was, what it meant. And then when you start writing in your sections, you will then go into more detail. Please remember today, I only want to see your introduction, nothing else, just one paragraph of writing. That's all you need to do. And then after half term, you are going to continue writing. But what I would suggest is that over half term, if you have some time, maybe you can do some more research to really build up your paragraphs. So try and find some more information out about World War II to help you so that it makes it easier to write those paragraphs up after half term. Okay, so pause the video here if you would like to use mine. Do not copy it, but please use some of the language and make sure the spellings of Hitler and Germany and Britain are correct. And I'm happy for you to kind of magpie some ideas, but please do not copy, as I have said. Okay, so your turn to write your own. You may need to do a bit more research about World War I if you need some more information. Remember to send your work into the Year 6 email address, and it is year6@grange.harrow.sch.uk. And I look forward to receiving your work, and I will speak to you after half term.